got memories, picture perfect.
We have had conflicts between settlers and indigenes on the plateau, but mostly it has happened within the capital city, which is just north and just south. But recently it has sprung to different localities, different local governments. So why and what do you think are the reasons?
Well, I'm not sure I can pinpoint one specific region. I suspect there are one or two or few key reasons. For example, the reasons for the conflict in, just north, between the settler population and the indigenous groups. The reason for that is different from the reason for the contemporary Fulani, herdsmen attackers, that we're now facing. They are not the same. The colonial regime, they were asking each colonial province, they assigned a quota of laborers that each one would bring to the plateau for, like that. And a large chunk of these remained, and form the bulk of the population of Jos Township. And they are from all over what used to be northern region, including the southern region. You find Dinis, Ibibios, and so on and so forth. Also who came, and Igbos and Yorubas, who man the technical and artisan aspects of mining and so on. While the northern groups were mainly the shovel laborers, diggers, and so on and so forth, with foremen and all that.
Yeah, the ones with the manpower.
Yeah. So that's the genesis of that problem. And with the onset of colonial rule, since Plateau was part of the northern region, the various groups that came, they and settled in Jos, they had a different conception of belonging than those from the south, because they saw themselves as more bona fide members of the place, because they are northerners. Yes, and the northern region, which was correct perception. You can't fault them. What became the problem is the political problem that arose, from their settlement and those of the indigenous groups, as land space began to be, critical factors in their coexistence.
It's true.
And so the colonial regime, its arrival was a totally different civilization altogether. And they were also contributing laborers, seasonal laborers, and they were forced to go to the mines as the principal means of earning tax money.
Yes.
So the problem then arose when the Hausa settlers began to object to the rise of the indigenous groups. That's the genesis of that one. Okay? And unfortunately, the bulk of them are Muslims, and the bulk of the indigenous groups are Christians and non-Muslims. So it gave rise to a religious coloration. Okay? So their elite, you know, would still want to have the kind of political leverage that they used to have under the colonial period, while the indigenous groups are now pushing for the claim this is their domain and so on. And of course, we all know that the principal ethnic groups that, you know, own Jos are the Birom, the Anabuta, and the Afizere. You know, so that's the genesis of that one. Okay, and you know, this ding dong crisis manifests each time there's a government policy, or each time there's need for the appointment of a minister or a commissioner or some such a thing, you know, then the thing erupts. So if in your appointment you don't pick from there, they see themselves as they are the ones that establish Jos. You know, it doesn't occur to them that Jos was established by the colonial setting. You know, so that's how that the Jos North crisis. That's how it is defined. Okay, several, because each time, whether it is an appointment or what have you, you know, it gives rise to a crisis. You know, people give evidence, nothing happens, and we've had such about 3 of such commissions. You know, for good, I think that crisis is mellowing down because we are now in, you know, in the post-independence era and so on. We are now having plateau governments that recognize that, you know, these people are Nigerians. They are part of what used to be former North. They have a right to where they are. They are not here on holidays. So you must do politics with them whether you like it or not. You know, if you want to become a governor or a local government chairman of Jos North, you can't go about saying only Birom or Anabuta and so on will vote you. You know, they have, in sheer numbers alone, they can unmake you. Okay? So I now notice that there's what I would regard as contemporary tolerance of one another. That crisis seems to me to be dying down. Okay? Compared with this new phenomena that we are now witnessing, which is this Fulani herdsmen, who, for reasons that I think is yet to be critically studied, you know, because the thing is very sudden. Okay? It started with Birom Basa, that kind of thing, that access. Now it has moved to Central Plateau and things like that. There's a deliberate change of behavior, should I say, with the Fulani herders. In the past, they would graze, you know, the indigenous group would give them land to settle they benefit from the manure of their cattle, coexistence.
Yes.
Excellent. We grew under that kind of arrangement. And even as locals, you can send your son to go and do grazing work for them for a year, and then they give you a cow or so at the end of it, and so on. And with that process, you begin to build your own stock of cattle. So that's what had been existing ever since they arrived on the plateau until recently. Now you can trace the sources of this at various points from what we now know is the continuing desiccation of the Sahara region, the Sahel. The vegetation can now no longer support, a lot of the Fulbe speaking herdsmen who had been staying there, and they are pushing south and pushing south and pushing south over the years. But suddenly it has escalated into something that looks like trying to drive away the peasant settlers to take possession of the farmlands, and this seems to be what is happening. And if you are to conduct an interview among the Fulani herders, probably they will tell you that the indigenous communities are now becoming sort of hostile, not allowing them graze as they used to, that kind of thing. And so they see themselves as the farming communities are depriving them of grazing land and so on. And the farming communities, their complaint is that these people are, using their cows to even go and graze on growing crops and, and so on. And with the current crisis, which causes the peasants to believe that these people want to drive them away to take over the land for grazing purpose, is that they are doing it with such venom, such unthinkable things that crops growing, you just bring your herds of cattle to, eat them up, and nobody dares to talk to them. They have guns, the indigenous people don't have. And more bizarre is, even where they can't cause their cow to eat, they cut it
down,
and so on and so forth. And now it has escalated into what looks like a full-scale war. Yeah,
True.
You arrive at night, and with present gadgets, handsets, and mobility, because they use machines, motorcycles, You invade a whole village, people are sleeping, kill the people, burn the houses, carry their food, and so on and so forth, which is what gives credence to the fact that they really want to drive off the original owners, and the original owners, you can't drive them to anywhere else. You just have to kill them. It's their ancestral land.
True.
This is